Alrighty. We got a match here between drsteelhammer and agoo03. Or is that? Agoo03. I think that's a 0. The O and the 0 look very similar in this font, but I think that's a 0. This is for the 2022 Shuffle It Championship. This is the round of, I don't know how many. Let's see, they're in the circle of witches. 14th seed versus 115th seed. So I think this is the round of 128. Among this eighth of the bracket, Agoo is the second highest seed. So, in all likelihood, facing NA Smith in octafinals. NA Smith actually just having a very recent close brush to getting eliminated after a 4-3 versus Ostian. I don't know how to pronounce that. drsteelhammer entering the tournament as a low seed at 115, but has definitely been in quarterfinals before, so a force to be reckoned with. I think just low seeded because the rating's not so high at the moment. In any case, this should be a tough match for the round of 128. What have we got going on? Draw looks very limited. Is the only draw Storeroom Faithful Hound? I think so. So, in theory, village plus a moat variant, so like Bandit Camp plus Faithful Hound would be draw. But one village here, Merchant Camp, is a stop card. So if you play Merchant Camp plus Faithful Hound, you actually aren't increasing your hand size. It's just netting you 1 coin each time. That's like a fancy poacher. And then Bandit Camp Faithful Hound is kind of similar. On the face of it, Bandit Camp draws a card, but it gives you a stop card. So Bandit Camp is really like plus 2 actions, plus 3 coins when you put it all together. So Bandit Camp Faithful Hound, not a bad interaction, but it's still effectively like cantrip plus 3 coins, not increasing hand size either. So I think the only bona fide draw here, I guess it technically Ghost draws you a card. If you got the Ghost by trashing your Haunted Mirror, it's like a draw, not a whole lot. Oh, where's Wisp coming from? Wisp is not actually in this kingdom. Wisp is just out because Druid is here, but it's not one of the relevant bits. So I think the only way to draw is have a bunch of Faithful Hounds and then discard them with Storeroom, and then they go back to your hand and you discard them again every turn. So that might be worth doing here. Or maybe you just give up and don't play with draw. Corsair probably means Merchant is worse than usual. Not to say you can't play with Merchant. Certainly early on at least, Merchant will be fine because it's not like Corsair is an early game priority. But you don't just want to play like the Merchant stack with just 1 silver at the end of it all because you'll have to rebuy the silver return if your opponent gets wise to that and buys a Corsair. But that's probably only going to become worth it if they have a critical mass of merchants. So the first merchant seems totally fine. I still think the Storeroom Faithful Hound thing looks good, although it's tricky because you have a bunch of Faithful Hounds in your starting hand. If at any point you ever fail to discard them, via Storeroom, then your whole deck just falls apart because it is not easy to get them set aside again. Like once you've got a big 15-card hand that's like 10 Hounds and 5 other cards, well then you're going to be drawing your deck for the most part with some reliability. But then if you ever like bottom deck your Storeroom and don't discard them, then you're back to a 5-card hand. It's going to take ages to bake them all up again. What have they been doing? They're playing pretty quickly. Agoo opens Silver Druid. Well, Druid's trashing, so yeah, Druid's not so bad here. Flameskift is good. I could see taking an early gold in this kingdom. Could help you get a Faithful Hound set aside. drsteelhammer opens Silver Storeroom. That also seems fun. Some Bandit Camps. Okay, yeah. Pretty generic set of buys. There's not a great way to get the like a big early hand for a great Cemetery trash. But with Aqueduct at 2, you might even take Cemetery earlier than you otherwise might. Like buy it when you're just trashing 2 or 3 cards instead of 4. because it's going to be worth 4 VP. Well, really, it's going to be worth 2 VP because you're probably trashing it later, as opposed to 0 VP. So a Defiled Shrine bought. How much did it get up to? 9? That seems okay to me. The Kingdom, not super strong or anything, so 9 VP is nothing to sneeze at. Also, notably, they bought it on a turn where they had plus buy. And there's 2 big drawbacks to Defiled Shrine. One is you're putting a curse in your deck, which hurts. And the other is you're foregoing a buy, which early in the game also often hurts a lot. And so one of the best times to buy Defiled Shrine is that if you've got plus buy, you spent all your money for the turn already on your first buy, and then you buy Defiled Shrine with $0 and a buy left. Like, that's not a trivial click the curse thing, but it mitigates one of the 2 main downsides. Ooh, I think you just play the Faithful Hound here. Yeah. And then, no. Maybe this is good. This might be good. This actually worked out. No, it didn't. Well, I mean, it worked out for some definitions. It worked out. Like, this wasn't a bad turn. I was thinking that you take the Ghost here. You could have discarded the Storeroom, or, as it so happened, once they played the Storeroom, they drew a Faithful Hound. Maybe you could have considered discarding that to get the Ghost, but they discarded their Haunted Mirror by that point. Not that, like, getting a Ghost is the only thing of value in this kingdom, but I feel like it's a pretty good card in an otherwise weak kingdom. Like, we're mentioning that you're lacking for draw, and Ghost is like draw. It is itself a stop card, but then it goes and searches through your deck and plays something twice, which is like +2 cards. So it's like a Warlord's worth of draw. Would take second Storeroom. Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me. Especially once these hounds start building up. If you ever fail to rediscard your hound, you're in a world of trouble. Druid could kind of help that, I guess. Like, if you drew your Druid, but you didn't have a Storeroom in hand, you could just do an emergency Sky's Gift. Not because you need the gold so much as just because you need to discard the hounds. Faithful Hound Bandit Camp, maybe? Yeah. Could also have been Faithful or Storeroom Bandit Camp or Faithful Hound Storeroom. Again, this is looking like a good hand for a Cemetery. Yeah, play those spoils, buy Cemetery. Trash everything but the Storeroom, discard the Storeroom. No! Oh, I don't think this is best. I'm not convinced. Probably not worth it, but Gatekeeper would be kind of funny here. Gatekeeper would block your opponent from ever getting a curse. Not a curse. I mean, I guess it would block them from getting a curse. Would it? No, it wouldn't. Oh, it also... Never mind. I don't know how Gatekeeper works. The thing I was trying to say, which ultimately would have been wrong had I said it, was Gatekeeper can block them from getting their Ghost. But Ghost is actually neither an action nor a treasure card. So, my bad. Gatekeeper actually sucks. But you're not giving it 0 stars, so you still think the flu is at it's like a 20th percentile event. Like fully 20% of your life experiences are worse than having the flu. You Don. Are these decks that different? Aren't they mostly just shoving a bunch of these action cards in there? You know what's really fun about Gatekeeper is if you put a Gatekeeper and your opponent buys a Faithful Hound, they exile the Faithful Hound, but then they discard the Faithful Hound from exile when they buy their next Faithful Hound, and then they just get to top deck it for free. We're better than top deck. They get to put it in their hand for free. Let's start the next turn. This does look like a kingdom where I'm pretty desperate to get thin. Just draw is so hard to come by that trashing cards seems like the utmost priority here. Let's see. I put an estate back on bottom. Why are they keeping the cemetery in hand? I'm not sure that 9 is more important than 8. But why is the cemetery in hand? I don't understand that. Oh, there are no action cards down here in these bottom 3? So the bottom one's an estate. I don't know what the other 2 cards are. If they're triggering a shuffle, then that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that was reasonable then. So Agoo knew it was in their deck, and they knew that this ghost was going to go all the way through the shuffle and into their discard. So it actually that was a good play not to discard the cemetery, because then you're putting the cemetery into the shuffle about the trigger. They know their deck better than I. Province seems reasonable enough to me, I think. I don't have super grand ambitions for this kingdom, so greening on the earlyish side seems okay. Really thinking about another cemetery trash here. Really strongly thinking about another cemetery trash here. Wouldn't have put the estate on bottom because I would have wanted to trash that estate. Yeah, play storeroom, discard. Maybe we're playing the druid. Play storeroom, discard cemetery for draw. Play druid for River's Gift is on there. Yeah, River's Gift. Or maybe no, you play storeroom, discard cemetery for draw. Play druid, trash a copper. Buy cemetery, trashing other 3 coppers and estate. And then you've got 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, minus 4. You got 7 money left. You could buy another Bandit Camp and Faithful Hound. They discarded a copper. Maybe they'd rather trash the cemetery still. Not clear. I was thinking like at this point in the game, a cemetery is probably better for you than a copper because you're already looking to score. But maybe they'd rather keep the copper. Oh yeah, so this is looks like, just given that they're not playing these cards, that they're going to buy cemetery, which case is otherwise the line that I described, except they want to trash the cemetery and keep the copper. I think I'd rather keep the cemetery, but it's at least close. I'm still thinking Faithful Hound, Bandit Camp. Could consider Secret Passage, but that I think is worse. I think if the number of merchants in each deck were different, then Corsair could be a consideration. Like, as DSH buying a Corsair doesn't seem so bad. Killing Agu Silver, I think would be pretty annoying for them. In fact, yeah, I might think about that here. Buy a Corsair and let the Ghost hit it. Your Ghost would be able to play for 2 turns instead of 1, but that's not so bad because double playing Corsair is a pretty good benefit. Flame's Gift, I would think. Trashing Estate is better than River's Gift here. Yeah, so Province, Corsair, Bandit Camp. This is okay. Oh my, there was a lot more in that shuffle than I thought there was. That is a dangerous ghosty. So I think you... how do you do this? Put the storeroom on bottom, and then let Ghost double play that. I mean, it's not like the most amazing Ghost target, but it works out pretty well here. Let's see, flip all the junk cards. Not sure what they're planning here. Maybe they're gonna draw through some of this. I don't see what the value of that is. What is this play? This is just worse, right? I mean, I could once again not know the bottom of their deck as well as they do. Maybe there's some cards down here that are going to explain this. Yeah, it just seems way worse to me. Bottom deck storeroom, River's Gift, buy 2 provinces. Now you got a top deck storeroom to sift all the junk. Or maybe you don't even... If you're going to Ghost to storeroom, maybe you don't even put it on bottom. Maybe you put it on top intentionally. And then you have a hand of storeroom and a bunch of junk cards. And that's actually great because then you discard all the junk to the bottom of the shuffle. And you got a second storeroom play coming up if you need it. Yeah, I think there's a much better play there. Ooh, 23 is a lot, but not quite enough. And 3 buys is also a lot, but not quite enough. This would be enough money to pile if they had one more buy. I like double province. What do you buy on the last buy? Secret passage, maybe. Storeroom, that's okay too. Yeah, I like that. So as DSH, you're up by hella points. So I don't think you have to worry about your opponent winning this turn, unless they prove me wrong. But like double province only gets them to 29. Buying a curse only gets them to 31. They're still pretty far off. And that means I think as DSH, your main concern here is just not dudding on the following few turns. So adding a card that helps you avoid a dud seems a lot more valuable than adding like one more duchy's worth of points. We're stopping here. I don't know what the bottom two cards are. Must be something useful. All right, this looks like it should secure a win for DSH. You got bare minimum a province buy, which should save you another turn. And then, ooh. Well, I don't like this order so much. It'll all work out in the end, but I think you buy a province there and play your ghost, and then you're up by enough points that they're not going to do anything, and then the ghost means you're definitely going to hit province again. Everything for what? Why would you do that? I don't think Agoo can win this turn if you just buy a province. You're at 42 points. They're not beating 42 points. I think you pitch everything but the ghost and the spoils for draw, hoping to find some additional hounds. Then pitch everything again that's not the ghost and the spoils. That gets you to 8. And then you set aside some number of hounds. You've played a ghost. You've got a province. That'll be winning. I wonder whether you keep these spoils. It's not super clear. They're spending, which seems reasonable. So on the one hand, you don't need those spoils. You're not buying more than $10 worth of stuff at maximum. On the other hand, do you want the spoils in your deck for next turn? Like money is not really the main constraint for Agoo's deck. It is draw and it is buys, and so probably the spoils, like they're just golds. But gold is probably worse than nothing here. All right, first game to DSH. What have we here? This looks strong. So there's no trashing. What's the way of the mouse? I think it's courtyard. But this looks like the sort of kingdom where trashing is pretty optional. Wharf is amazing draw. Soap Merchant's good. Encampment's good. Tide Pools adds a bit of reliability, as does Wharf. Have villages with Festival and Encampment. And the villagers off of Soap Merchant. So we just play all the good cards and then draw your cards and then you win. I wonder if Tide Pool's Tunnel is a thing. It's an easy way to get some early golds into your deck, which you might actually want here with Encampment. So you could think about Tide Pools and Tunnel. You can set that up with Courtyard. Any action can be played as Courtyard. And so just play your last action turn as Courtyard to top deck your Tunnel. And then Tide Pools will hit it. That's something to think about. I wouldn't open that, but something in the early mid game. Will we face each other? I I think I haven't looked at the bracket. The earliest we could possibly face each other, based on my knowledge, would be quarterfinals because this is from the Circle of Witches subgroup, and so they will face whoever wins this, provided they go on to win again, and then no one else gets upset. I think they play N.A. Smith in octafinals. Wait, Hawk, are you saying you face N.A. Smith / winner of this match, or are you saying you face me in quarterfinals? Okay, so whoever wins this division will face the winner of Haka's division, which Haka believes to be Haka. I don't know who I face. It's tough because like I'm a second seed, but the seeds are all fuzzy because they randomize them a little bit, so it's not easy to say without like actually putting the bracket and looking at it. I can go check. Full bracket. Let's see. So I'm here. If I win all my rounds, and we assume no other upsets, the person I would face in quarterfinals would be. Brackets are big. We've already passed them. Kazumaru. It looks like my quarterfinals match would be the winner of Kazumaru's group. Oh, I could have just waited for Haka to answer that for me. Could even be finals. I don't know if they're in the bottom half of the bracket. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I could face anyone from this half of the bracket until finals. N.A. Smith, Haka, DSH, Agoo, etc. Anyways, what has happened in this game? Let's go find out. Dr. Steelhammer has the... No, they don't have the 2-5. Encampment Slip Merchant. What do I think about that? So I guess I see some rationale to it. You're probably not burning the encampment early because like that's not useful enough early on to take it over silver or something. But you can play the encampment as Crossroads, which seems pretty good, and means you've got an encampment shortly thereafter for once you got a gold in your deck. Wait, he burned encampment. Did I say Crossroads? By Crossroads, I meant Courtyard. I know what the cards' names are. Why we burn the encampment? So we'd rather lose the encampment than lose a villager. I guess that's reasonable, right? Like you're probably triggering. I'm trying to reconstruct the game state which they did this. They have a wharf down there. They're probably not drawing their wharf yet, but they're gonna have a wharf on top, and you don't want to play your wharf and draw your slip merchant dead. So maybe burning the encampment there made sense. I don't know. Anyways, where are we at now? Oh, we got gold the ugly way rather than the fun Tide Pools tunnel way. Yeah, you can't bonfire your soldiers anymore. You used to be able to do that, but times have changed over in Adventurous Land. Oh, so we're struggling a little bit on terminal space here as Dr. Steelhammer. But do they have encampments down there? They probably have encampments down there. Man, Haggler would be so much nicer the old way in this kingdom. If you could play Haggler as Courtyard and still get its effect. Haggler got changed. Everything except for the +2 used to be below the line. I would say like while in play. So you'd get that effect from Haggler, even if it was played as away, because it'd still be in play. But then Haggler was changed. So you have to like actually play the Haggler as a Haggler to get this effect. It was also changed, so now it says when you gain a card if you bought it, rather than just saying when you buy a card. I'm sure you could make copper burn if you just had a hot enough fire. It's got some boiling point. We're pausing here. The bottom card is a copper, I presume. I guess maybe they were contemplating playing the Silk Merchant as a crossroad. Nope, I'm not gonna do it. Playing the Silk Road as a Courtyard to top deck the plunder to make sure their encampment hits. But then they just chose to buy extra plunders, which also fixes that problem. I don't know. 3 plunders is a lot of plunders. Like, plunder's not that good. I feel like you mostly just want enough to make your encampments not go away. And, I mean, 3 is really safe, but I think 2 would be reasonable. You got me. I was dropping subtle hints about the new expansion into my commentary. The farmland buy. Why did we buy a farmland? If you're dead set on buying Silk Merchant plus Wharf anyway, well then sure, take a free farmland. That would check out to me. Was that the best set of buys? I don't know. I was thinking these decks were struggling a little bit for terminal space, and so a festival might be in order, but maybe Silk Merchant Wharf was the best buys there. I still want to see Tide Pools and Tunnel happen. Like at this point in the game, it's actually not so important. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's just Tide Pools. But like at this point in the game, it's not so important because like the main reason to do that was it's an easy gold source, and if you're neck deep in plunders, you don't really need more golds. So the main rationale for it is kind of lost here. Terminal space, what is it? Nobody knows. But yeah, this is kind of DSH's fault, right? Like he was over terminal and just bought more terminals, which I mean, Silk Merchant's only like kind of terminal, but still. Farmland is Silk Merchant. That's not what I meant by farmland and Silk Merchant. I meant trash Silk Merchant because you need more villagers. This feels unsustainable, right? Like we're adding village space, but buying more terminal action cards, and yeah, they come with a villager, but that is not going to last you. Your deck is getting increasingly precarious. Don't you just want? I guess we can gain some festivals off of it. I don't know. I would have killed some of these Slip Merchants, I think. How much money do they have there? They have like 13, right? You could buy Festival Silk, Farmland, Trash Silk into Gold. That's 11. I was gonna say Tunnel Black Cat, but you don't have a Tide Pools. Maybe do Festival Tide Pools, Farmland Silk into Gold, Tide Pools Tunnel, or Tunnel Black Cat. You can't do Tide Pools Tunnel. Tunnel Black Cat, maybe. I don't know. Not obvious. What are these bottom two cards? Have they trashed all their estates at this point? Yes, surely they have, because I can see all their victory points in hand. What could there be? Some more action cards of some sort. Maybe a war for a merchant or something. Don't seem like there are things that are too important to draw, so just play the Haggler. Yeah. Farmland, the Silk Merchant. Yeah, I think just a bunch of farmlands here looks good. Trash the Silk Merchant, trash some farmlands into provinces, and you're gaining stuff off of Haggler, so you're still building. Is there a win here? Oh, well, I like this better. Yeah, if you can win, then by all means just win. Okay, 2-0 for DSH. Quite the underdog story we've got going on here. Oh, this looks like a kingdom. Well, with Obelisk on Menagerie, I'd be kind of tempted to buy a few Menageries here, you know? That card might not be half bad if it was worth 2 points. The underdog. Yeah, because DSH is a big nautical enthusiast. Anyways, what's the rest of this kingdom got going on? Villages are going to be the tricky part here, because the only villages are Captain and Prince, which are expensive. Prince probably just doesn't see play here, right? Yeah. Prince is like Captain, except bad and worse and more expensive and just all around terrible in comparison. So you just click Captain. And then Captain will be the village, which is a very limited number of villages. And then Menagerie will be amazing, because Menagerie is always amazing. And it's the Obelisk here, so it's worth 2 points. Menagerie Vault is kind of a neat interaction. You could discard stuff with Vault and then draw back up with Menagerie, and that's fun. Menagerie and Mystic also work pretty well. There's nothing else that really synergizes with Mystic, is there? Other than more Mystics? Yeah, nothing shows you the top of your deck. Well, you could play Leprechaun and get Greed, and then you would know there's a copper on top. Or Bad Omens would let you know there's coppers on top, and then your Mystic could hit. Leprechaun might be fine. Wishes look great because you can turn them into captains. I don't really want more than one gold in this deck, but you could live with multiple golds because you can discard them with Vault and draw them at the end. So like taking extra golds wouldn't be that bad. Yeah, I mean, the kingdom actually I think is deceptively strong for how limited and awkward it looks at first glance. There's a lot to do here, and you can build really big. So I just want all the menageries, all the captains, and then things will happen. The plus buy is Traveling Fair, which is the sole plus buy source. Not amazing because it's kind of expensive, but we'll do the trick. How did we open? Raise, poacher. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that. Uh, the 4-3 would be great, but neither of them had the good split. On 4-3, you could actually wait. One of them had a 5-2. On 4-3, you can top deck a raise with Traveling Fair, which is definitely better, but neither of them could do that. Um, DSH, I think probably should have opened Vault rather than Poacher. Yeah. Well, Vault plays a little bit awkwardly with Raise, because a hand with Raise plus Vault is only hitting 5, or you're just not playing your Raise. But supposing you see them in opposite hands, Vault gets you to 6, 100% guaranteed. You play Vault, you discard everything you drew, you're at 6, and that gets you an early captain, which is great. So I would open Vault. Yeah, definitely open Vault. I'm thoroughly sold now. I think if your Vault and your Raise collide, you just don't play the Raise, and you take your captain. Well, actually, if Vault and Raise collide turn 3, I would just pop the Raise. You could get to 6 if you draw well with. I don't think you can. So like if you let's say you have Raise Vault in your turn 3 hand. If you trash an estate with Raise, now you're gonna have 4 cards in hand. Then you play the Vault, you're up to 5 cards. You discard all of that, and you're still only hitting 5. So I think if you have Raise and Vault turn 3, I would pop the Raise just to get farther through that shuffle, because if you just play the Vault from a turn 3 hand, you're hitting 6, but you're not triggering a shuffle. Whereas if you pop the Raise and play Vault, then you're triggering a shuffle, and now your captain's going to be on the top of your deck, which is where you want it. And so I'd be willing to just like waste a Raise to trigger that shuffle, because your captain can be played as Raise once you get it. If you see the Raise in the Vault turn 4, I would just play the Vault and not bother with trashing that turn. Ideally, you see like Raise turn 3, Vault turn 4, and that would be lovely. But I think Vault looks way better than Poacher here upon closer reflection. Anyways, what has happened since then? Duplicate, okay. Duplicate, not a super strong card, but if it gets you to double captain, well, then it's paid off. You could consider Silver instead of Duplicate, because it's more likely to get you to 6 the first time. And we got a bunch of Menageries, which are good cards, I hear. Yeah, I mean, seeing this hand, the Duplicate might have been a bit early. Oh, no, well, seeing this hand, the Duplicate was not. The Duplicate worked out pretty well. I mean, to be fair, if it was a Silver, you wouldn't have 2 captains, but you could top deck the captain because you'd have 8 and you could buy Traveling Fair. So, like, Silver still would not have been bad. Capitan. Menagerie. Raise. Is Agoo just going to try to pile Poacher and Menagerie and shut down the captain? Like the problem is if you're at that stage of the game and 2 of the piles are empty, like the game's probably are almost over at that point. Yeah, I think I'm perfectly happy just taking a bunch of captains. If my opponent wants to buy 8 Poachers and then empty Menagerie and Poacher, well, like, oh no, my captains don't work. But now your deck is full of 8 Poachers to discard 2 each. Yeah, I'm also a little bit surprised. I mean, to be fair, once you start hitting higher numbers, you're probably buying captain over Menagerie. So that explains a bit of it. But Menagerie sure is a good card here. The trick is just to play 7 captains and then you can play them all as leprechauns. And get 7 wishes at the start of your turn. Ooh, double menagerie, top deck captain. Both sound good. They're going for the menageries. Yep, seems good to me. Well, seeing how much we're drawing, kind of thinking Vault might be in order sooner rather than later. You might be able to get one off of a wish. You can activate Leprechaun here. Let's see. Oh, is this the right play order? Not sure. I guess it doesn't make a difference. I was thinking you could play the duplicate first, but that doesn't matter anyway. Because you could wait until you draw the wish and then play the duplicate, and then duplicate your wish if you wanted. Not that it mattered here because they bottom decked the wish. That would actually be a pretty funny way to activate Leprechaun. So like if you're otherwise only at 6 cards in play, you could duplicate the gold with duplicate just to have a 7th card in play before you get to the second half of Leprechaun. So your duplicate triggers after that first line, but before the next line. And then you've got one more card in play, and then your Leprechaun gives you a wish instead of a hex. I wished I could duplicate wishes. Side note, to get infinite wishes, you wish that the genie would forget how many wishes he's given you. I'm not sure if that works. You're assuming a lot about the nature of genies. What if it's not like the genie's choice? Like the genie has declared that I don't want you to have infinite wishes. The genie is just describing to you the way of the world. Like, hey, look, here's a constraint on the power of genies, is they can't give infinite wishes. And so if I'm a genie who doesn't know that I can't give infinite wishes, it might nonetheless be true that I'm incapable of giving infinite wishes. And all you've done is make me forgetful of the limits of my own powers. And then I try to give you infinite wishes, and then I fail. And who knows what happens then. It's like that classic dilemma. Can a genie grant a wish so powerful that even the how would you phrase this in genealogical terms? Yeah. Can the genie grant a wish so powerful that even he can't undo it? I don't know. There's probably a good way to make that functional. Let's see. Piles are getting low. As Agoo, I would think hard about whether to take this last menagerie. So on the one hand, you've lowered piles a bunch. On the other hand, you probably haven't lowered them quite enough to pile out. Not sure about that, though. And the upside here is if you think that this is not going to open up a pile out, you sure have made your opponent's turn worse. Because now their captain both can't play menagerie, and if it plays poacher, it will be weaker at it. So I would definitely take that menagerie with caution. Like, you just got to think, if I do this, will my opponent be able to empty the piles and win the game? But if the answer to that is no, then I definitely like this buy. And I think it's probably no, right? Like, how do you win as a DSH here? 2 poachers and 8 estates would do it, but plus buy is hard to come by. Makes the traveling fair makes the estates that essentially cost 4. I don't know if DSH has that much money. Or if you're trying to do poachers and captains, then you got to buy a province at the end of all that, which sounds kind of hard. So my guess is probably Agoo's on the driver's seat, and it will all hinge on this turn. So I think as DSH, you've got to go for the win here, right? Which I don't know how likely that is, but I think would have involved. I was thinking play the duplicate, play the wish for captain. They're going for the leprechaun line. That might be better. I don't know. All right, so can we win here? So first the poacher line. You wish for 2 golds, I guess. Then you play duplicate. You could play nothing you play captain as actually helps you much here. You can play the captain for like 1 coin with a poacher. So you wish for 2 golds, play captain as poacher, play duplicate. You've got 6, 12, 16 money. That's not enough. So estate poacher isn't happening. Supposing you wished for 2 captains, then you have to play duplicate by captain, double poacher, and a province, which is costing you 22 money. I don't think you're getting there either. Yeah, I think there's no win here. Whew, 16. Why did they not play captain before a second mystic? That's a good question. Yeah, definitely bad order. I don't know if 17 is better than 16 for practical purposes here. So probably didn't make a difference, but it does seem strictly worse. I'm thinking vault. Not sure about that. And leave the. Do you take 2? I think I would just maybe take 1 vault and then leave the duplicate down because you're low on terminal space, kind of. It's tough. Could be duchy as well. I mean, when you're making your wishes, it's always just based on contextually what helps you the most here. And I don't recall exactly, but it seems plausible that Mystic was the best thing at that given moment. Mystic's also fine with Menagerie. What did they end up going with? They took a second Mystic. Okay. Can Agoo win here? Not obvious, but within the realm of plausibility. They don't have a whole lot of terminal space. Okay, so what's the easiest route to a victory for Agoo? Probably Poacher Captain Duchy. Let's see. So you play Captain as what's down there in the discard? Just a copper. All right. So let's see. If you play Captain as Poacher, you discard your raise. You wish for Captain, I guess. Then you play that as Poacher again. Not that that makes any difference. Actually, makes a little bit of difference. Then you play Duplicate. So you'll have 6, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18 money. And you will have already gained a Captain. You will have a Duplicate down. You need to buy 2 Captains and 2. Yeah, there's a pile out here, is there? Prince would probably be a good card at 6. I could see Prince costing 6. Maybe that's worse. I don't know. Maybe 7. My one hesitation about Prince costing 6 is like I don't think it'd be busted or anything in terms of overall strength. But then you get the folks who are gonna, YOLO it and buy Prince turn 3, and then just get like a really lucky turn 5 Prince lineup with their only other action card in their deck, where that's like objectively not a very good play, but a very high roll play, and then they win just because they got like a really lucky Prince lineup. And it's not worth taking that gamble, but then you occasionally lose because they did and then it paid off. So maybe you want Prince to cost a little bit more than 6. I don't know. I don't think it's obviously bad at 6. Yeah, to its credit, Prince costing 8 does have some interesting interactions. Like you can gain provinces by buying a Prince and using Charm, and that's fun. Or you can use like Lurker to gain princes and then butcher them into provinces, stuff like that. I was so thinking that when Menageries emptied, the game was just going to end within the next turn. But we're still kicking. I guess it's just not quite as trivial as I anticipated to pile stuff out. Plus buy is expensive. They've only got the one Duplicate. A little limited on terminal space. So there's some challenges here. Sure would be nice if this Mystic were Revolt. But we can wish for Revolt. I still think Vault's a good card here. I guess first you got to consider, does wishing for Captain win you the game? Surely the answer is no. You're behind 10 points. Never mind. That's not an option. So probably you're just trying to score here as DSH. I think wish for Vault. Wishing for Duplicate. Maybe DSH is just trying to build up the number of duplicates down the mat to threaten a pile out in the future. Is double province better? That seems plausible to me. Yeah, I can see double province being better. Important difference is double province gives you a points lead, which makes piling out harder because then they have to do not just 4 Captain 2 Poacher, but 4 Captain 2 Poacher and a Duchy. So that's definitely an argument to double province's credit. Probably the main case for Duchy is your next turn's a lot better because like you both trashed a copper and also Duchy is a unique card, so it makes Menagerie more likely to activate as compared to Province, which will bump into other provinces. It's not like trivial, but I think I would probably side with double province. Goodbye, Rays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. I think he played this as Leprechaun. Yeah, like taking a slight risk because that captain was a. Oh, never mind. I wasn't making any sense anyway. I was gonna say like that captain could have been a menagerie, but the captain can't be menagerie because captain can't play menagerie once the pile is empty. There's no longer a menagerie in the supply. So yeah, definitely play the captain with Leprechaun. I think poacher first, discarding. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say discarding the menagerie, but well, then you draw province. Ooh, what are these bottom two cards? One is a gold. The other one is something. Maybe it's with their. Ooh, have we found a pile out? It seems that we have. Raises maybe? How much does raise cost? 18? We got 7 plus 9. Yeah, this is a pile out in hand. So now the key question. Would a province rather than a duchy have prevented this if you're DSH? That would make it cost 7 more. So I don't know what this bottom card is. Agoo's thinking about it. Agoo should not be thinking about this because if they just count it out, they realize they don't need to guess this correctly. You got enough money in hand to pile raises. But now, would they have been safe with a points lead? So to do 5 raises in a duchy, you need 25. Is that right? That sounds right. 10 for traveling fair, plus 15 for raise and duchy. We got 7, 9, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. Yeah. I think that double province actually would have made a difference here. Because I don't think they could have done 25 here. Agoo is thinking what the bottom card is to make sure that the Mystic hits, which would make a lot of sense if not for the fact that you've got a win in hand. This game is Dominion. It is a deck building game. In fact, the OG deck building game. The goal of the game is to try to have most of these victory cards in your deck at the end of the game. But you can't just go buy in the victory cards directly because then your deck will not work. You got to buy some of these action cards and occasionally even some of these treasure cards to make your deck better, and then you can afford to buy more of the victory cards later. All right, 2-1. Agoo coming back. On to game 4. Oh, another Menagerie Kingdom. Not in the same sense. Keep. Oh, this will be fun. So keep with Black Market is kind of interesting. You get 5 points for every treasure that you have more of, which means every time you buy a treasure from the Black Market, it's just 5 victory points for free because your opponent can't possibly come back on that treasure because there's only 1 copy of it. So Black Market will be excellent. You're just kind of fishing for treasures here. Not immediately or anything. Like you don't need to buy a treasure immediately, but like later in the game, Black Market will be a great way to score. Other than that, what else we got going on? This kingdom looks pretty strong, but slow to get going because we got good 5s, but not explosive 5s. Like Paddock gets good later. Displace is good later. Barge is good, but it's terminal, and there's no good village. There's Toil, which actually works okay with Barge. Stockpile probably kick you into gear. And I think some folks often overvalue just like clicking on Stockpile en masse. But here, that's okay, because if you win the Stockpile split, that comes with like effectively a 10 victory point swing. So I think you give more consideration to just buying up the stockpiles early on. lot of viable openings here. Many viable openings. I think. Yeah. So this is super non-obvious to me. I think opening potion for apothecary would not be ridiculous. Not that it matters much, but that potion will be 5 victory points at the end of the game, and so you might as well get it when it's relevant. Devil's Workshop, good opener. Black Market Lookout, Stockpile, all very good. I could see any number of opening combinations here. Whew, this is a toughie. How do you want this to function? I think I like Stockpile Potion? Question mark. Apothecary lets you keep the coppers around, which is kind of nice. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking about keep, and you really shouldn't be thinking about keep this early in the game, even though it's a lot of points. Like, points just don't matter in the early game. But, like, I kind of wouldn't mind having coppers around, and I wouldn't mind having the potion on my deck. But Apothecary will let you have the coppers instead of thinning the coppers. Then Stockpile lets you hit 5 for Barge, and then Displace. Yeah, I don't know. I think most combinations of these things look okay as long as you don't buy silver. What do we got? We got Devil's Workshop Lookout versus Black Market Lookout. Those seem like reasonable buys to me. Definite Cauldron buy. That's not so definite to me. Monkey's really good. Monkey is like broken good, especially in a strong kingdom like this one. Your opponent's gonna like they buy Paddock, and then the Paddock draws you 2 cards every time it draws them 2 cards. Like Cauldron is a card that I would definitely buy later on if it showed up, but man, Monkey looks stupendous. I think I would have bought Monkey. Yeah, that match does not happen promptly. And somehow not because of Complain. Minstrel looks good. You can also just buy a 5. Do we want a free tracker? Do we already have a tracker? Someone's got a tracker. We already got a tracker. No, we are the wrong player. I think I would have taken a free tracker. It's not super obvious whether a tracker is better than nothing. Ooh, Archive, I think, looks best to me. I think I'm saying Archive. Final answer. Nobles. It's going to be a Nobles. It's Terminal. Villages are more lacking here. I think I'd rather the Archive. Ooh, Royal Galley. Yes, please. Diplomat also not bad. Rip. Probably kill the Black Market and draw the Devil's Workshop. Nobles isn't a village. Nobles, you're buying $6 Necropolis? No, thank you. They trashed the black market and discard. Yeah, so they did what I thought they ought to do. Ooh, hello, Crypt. Wouldn't mind you. Could also be duck it and then a 5. I don't think I love the investment. In fact, I think I don't love the investment. I know I don't love the investment. 4 is just a lot worse than 5 here. There's a bunch of power 5s in this kingdom. And I don't know, investment. It's not bringing me good vibes. Like, are you gonna trash the investment for victory points? You better have like 7 different types of treasure in your hand. Otherwise, you're not even netting victory points. So we're keeping the investment around. But why am I buying a card that's Necropolis now in the hopes that I get a bunch of villages later so I can play it as terminal draw when there's a better terminal draw card in this kingdom? Like, if you want to smithy, it's my Barge. Barge is much better. Is anyone else annoyed that it says boon draw pile instead of boon deck? Is it a boon deck? I don't know. I think boon deck would make more sense to me, or just say boons. Boon draw pile is a lot of text. Like, I get black market deck because if you just said black market or black markets, that would be confusing. But for boon draw pile, it doesn't need to be this wordy. I would just say boons. I think keep it as short and sweet as one can. When does any Dominion thing use the phrase draw pile? I don't know. Does the log use draw pile? Control F, draw pile. Well, the chat seems to be using the word draw pile based on my Control F search. Gain onto your draw pile is common. Which cards say that? I thought they said onto your deck. Or do you mean the log says gain onto your draw pile? I presume we're clicking Hunting Party here. Yeah, Hunting Party seems really clear to me. It's non-terminal, which again, you're a little bit limited in terminal space here, so that's good. Butcher would be a good card, but like you got Displace, which is maybe slightly worse than Butcher, but like it's enough that like I'm not desperate to get a Butcher in my deck or anything. I think it's a clear Hunting Party here. Nothing. Ooh. Treasure map said draw pile. Why did treasure map say draw? Why didn't it just say onto your deck? That is odd. A second look at what? Did we lose? You passed up Hunting Party for Stockpile Lookout? I'm so confused. Wait, but which part of the advice? Like the official like rules clarifications part, or the like community commentary on how to play with it? If it's in the strategy section, it might actually be a Saltrosa's fault. Hello, Prince. Prince actually looks reasonable here. I strongly consider buying Prince. Very strongly, actually. Yeah, you could like toil the Prince to get it into play, set aside a Imp. That'd be lovely. And he's dumb enough to buy 5. I'm so sold on buying Prince there. Horn of Plenty, don't mind if I do. You mean top draw pile? Oh, I don't even think they're listening. Eccentric will never know. Somebody is unmuted. Without a disc, how do you play the best form of golf? I am talking, and we have Edek providing helpful background noise. Nice 1-2 combo. Wow, look at this Nobles not being any good. Toil's going to be pretty good here, though. Toil's actually kind of busted. Look at that. So normally one of the big drawbacks of Toil is like you draw that stockpile and you can't play it. But you just toil the black market, and the black market can put the stockpile into play. How nifty. What are we buying? One of the 5s and another stockpile. Probably Barge, I think. Paddock, okay. See, I agree with you, Eccentric, and you'll never know. Because you have not joined the party. Paddock is a very difficult card to play with, in my humble opinion. I think even if you've shoved your deck full of Paddocks and then you manage to empty them, then like that's not trivially winning, because you got this problem where like it's still like a full shuffle before you get back to all the horses you just gained. Paddock is so tough because managing that delayed draw effectively is just like it's hard. It's really hard to tell how many horses to play around. Like you put a bunch of Paddocks and like, oh, these are draw, but then they're delayed draw, and that delay makes such a difference. I've got a strong suspicion that these decks are not coming together quite as well as they could have. Yeah, like Paddock becomes broken. Like once you've got deck control, you play all the Paddocks, you trigger a shuffle, and there's a bunch of forces on top. But those early Paddocks are very finicky. Paddock, I think, is often a very strong opening, and very strong in the end game. But there's this mid game point where Paddock is tough. Ooh, like right here. Why did we not put the paddocks first? We didn't want the horses in this shuffle? Don't understand that. You're not drawing your deck yet. Maybe they forgot paddock is non-terminal. My guess is, well, no, they're the ones who emptied the stockpiles. Surely they must have emptied the stockpiles for the intention of triggering the paddock. So then why didn't you play the paddocks before you shuffled? You could have 4 more horses in the shuffle. Oh yeah, this is another good point. Is an additional, like, even supposing for whatever reason you didn't want to play the paddocks before your shuffle, you could play the tracker before the paddocks and then top deck all of the horses. And then, like, maybe, I don't know, you're not playing lookup probably, but like if you want to play lookup, you could have played the lookup before the paddocks. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that after top decking 8 horses. None of these cards inspires me. Do we need plus buy? You might consider market, because that once stockpile is run, plus buy be like a little bit limited, but oh, what are we trying to do? Something fancy here? Have we got a grave rob or something in our deck? Why are we keeping the stockpile? Maybe there's just nothing they wanted to buy. That could be a reasonable justification for not playing it. Yeah, I guess if you're just buying 4 5s, like this stockpile doesn't get you to a 5th 5, and the sub 5s aren't amazing. You could buy a potion. Potion's worth points. Village. Actually, I'm not sure about the village. Village is probably a good buy because like villages are good here, but it's also going to be expensive at 5, so that's some reason to think twice. Silver, reasonable at this point. That's 5 points. I think I would have played with a healthier mix of paddocks and barges, maybe even a witch's hut. But one thing to Paddock's credit, at least at this point, is if you can line it up with Tracker, that will mitigate Paddock's main downside. Because like I look at a set of buys like, what they buy, like triple Paddock, yeah, displace triple Paddock, and then like, to my mind, that's adding 4 stop cards for purposes of, are you going to draw your deck next shuffle? Because the first go round, those paddocks are all terminal. And so it looks like a really good way to dud to me. It's just adding too many paddocks all at once. But one thing that is not at all reliable, but could potentially get you out of dodge there, is if you play your tracker, then play your paddock, then play another draw card, you can top deck the horses and play them immediately. And so that's one way to play around the problem of a paddock dud. But as it so happens, we have a dud, which, I don't know, might be explained by the last sequence of buys. So we got, how much money? 15 money? Displaced double barge. Not super obvious what you gain here. Displaced paddock barge, maybe. I'm thinking, does it behoove DSH to make this game run longer? Probably not, actually, right? Because like your opponent has the outpost. So if this game takes forever and they get to build forever, they probably win over the longest term, taking 2 turns to your 1. So maybe DSH wants to lower piles more aggressively. Try to end the game before that. Agoo's not drawn. I don't know, like something about their plays this game. It's just it is not resonating with me either side. Uh, do you even displace anything here? Is displacing black market good? Do we not want the black market anymore? I kind of still want the black market. I was thinking you just play the black market and leave the displace to do nothing. You could consider displacing the Devil's Workshop. I mean, imps are still good. Imps will be good forever here because you have infinite unique cards for them to play. But if you displace the Devil's Workshop into a 5, that's about as good as gaining an imp. I think probably I would just play the black market, not play the displace, and gain an imp at the end of that turn. Apothecary. Ooh. Much later than I think I would have opened with a potion. I'm not saying like obviously what? Uh Copper Duchy. So Agoo is terrified of DSH ending this turn, which maybe that makes sense. Maybe DSH can do 2 Paddocks and 5 black markets here. But man, Copper and Duchy are not good for your deck. Neither of these decks is functioning. I don't know why. It's not a weak kingdom. Oh, Crown. Beautiful. Absolutely. It's victory points. It's ridiculously good in the Black Market Kingdom. What an amazing pull. Coin of the Realm in a heartbeat. I think that's 2 cards that are both really punching above their weight in a Black Market game and also in a keep game. 2 great pulls. Well, obviously you'd buy Peaston if you could, but DSH doesn't have a potion. Ooh. Do you play the barge normally or not? Like, natural inclination is just the duration of the barge, toil the displace. That's a reasonable turn. But for Agoo's deck in particular, just that upside of finding outposts is so darn high that I would at least consider drawing with the barge for the 3/10 chance of finding outposts and going to toil it. Worth thinking about. Those were definitely 2 of the best pulls you could possibly have for DSH. Very high up on the list, at least. Scepter would also be a great black market pull at this point. I feel like 2 lookouts was for sure too many lookouts. I think they did not buy a lot of the non-terminal draw cards they could have in the black market, like Hunting Party, Archive, etc. They seem to undervalue Barge here, and I think overvalue Paddock a bit. But like a lot of things have conspired to make these decks work badly. DSH is now at the point where they finally got this Paddock stuff up and running, and so they're look very likely to win the game now. Probably this turn even. Let's see. So they got to take a points lead. So I don't know what the copper split looks like at this point. We've trashed. I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure that out. It would be nice to know if coppers were a hotly contested pile at the moment. And I'm sure DSH will think about that. But I can just sit back and let them figure that out for themselves. We got 2 buys, 3 buys, 4 buys, 5 buys, displace gain, 6 buys, 6 buys, and a displace gain. Looking awful close. Do we have our coin? Okay, yeah. I was about to say, why are we playing the black market now? But we have the coin of the realm. That's why. Margrave. This is one, like, were I so disposed to do some difficult thinking. The thing to think about here is, do I need +1 more buy more than I need 5 money? And the answer to that might be yes. I don't know if they got any additional gains down here, but if they might just be 1 gain short, because you need 8 gains to do 2 paddocks, 5 black markets, and some form of points. Oh, they had a crown, so they were fine either way. But key thing to think about, I think, is buying a Margrave and then playing it is netting you 1 buy, because it doesn't cost you a buy to buy it, but it gets you a buy when you play it. And so that could get you 1 more buy if that was the key limit that you needed. Right, so do we have a win? Now this is worth thinking about. Seems like we definitely are not winning the coppers, I don't think. Agoo's surely got a bunch of coppers, right? I think that's right. So, tricky. Cutting it close on actions, but we have toil to work with. We got 3 buys, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 buys. This feels like it's got to be a win. I don't think it'll actually be that difficult once you count it out. Let's just take the most obvious. Oh, that was a weird order. That doesn't make any sense. If you want to play the crown, you just play the black market, which plays the crown for free, and then you got a free black market play. But you don't want to do that, I think. Play a paddock. If you need the actions, you could play black market, play crown, play paddock. But I think you're probably fine just playing with toil here. Okay, well, I guess we probably don't need the extra 2 money, but like they're obviously passing up on 2 free money by just playing the crown directly. So how many points did they net by trashing this? They got 1 victory point from trashing, because they lose the 5 points from keep. And they got one extra point out of it. Yeah, so it looks like they were pretty easily winning. Like, this is a province. They could have bought 1 more province than they did. If they played the black market, toiled the bards, they could have bought double province. So in a good spot. Yeah, so we're 1 game from the upset here. But again, like this is seeding wise going to be an upset. But I think like drsteelhammer is just very underseeded in this tournament. I think because they haven't played too much ladder lately. But like they're a former quarterfinalist, so much better than 1/15 would suggest. Anyways, we got a new kingdom. This looks uninspiring. I don't even know how Battlefield works. I hate this thing. I don't play with it. I'm led to believe it encourages you to green early. And this is also a pretty weak kingdom. So, yeah. I would give Agoo well above 50% chances to win here. 5-2 is good. Player 1 is good. Wait, rough 5-2. Did they have the 2-5 or the 5-2? Now 5-2 is good here. You just buy spices and then you're fine. 2-5 would be pretty annoying. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to see here. Probably playing with 2 amulets and a few market squares, gain a few golds, green on the early side. I guess you have to think about the groundskeeper pile. Like there is a world where you can build a deck that's just a stack of groundskeepers and vassals and specialists. So, I guess there's at least something to do here. This kingdom isn't quite so bad as I thought, because it seems like these players don't care. But I think you at least have to give some due consideration to stacking 10 groundskeepers. That's a scary. Yeah. Oh, I'm coming around to building here. I think this kingdom is more than it seems. So like you don't really need stop cards in here at all. You just have a stack of specialists, groundskeepers, and vassals. And then like you're not even capped at 10 groundskeepers. If you specialist the groundskeepers, you can get like 15 plus groundskeepers in play, and then each estate is worth 16 points. And then your stop cards are like 2 amulets and however many victory cards you bought, and you just trash them again with the amulet. You're only it's not trivial, because you're really limited on draw. You can't increase your hand size at all, and your opponent can legionary attack you with some frequency, and so you gotta expect to have a 3-card hand, which is a big limitation. But again, you don't need stop cards. So imagine your deck is just a bunch of groundskeepers, a bunch of specialists, some vassals, 2 amulets, and then you just buy 1 victory card per turn for up until the end game, and then you just trash it again. That deck will draw the deck with a 3-card hand, just fine. And then like it'll take a while to get up and running, but I think that deck beats the big money thing. Big money will win all the battlefield points, so that is something. Battlefield, I think, points in the money direction. Spices and legionary markets are like the money deck is not weak, so it's not like trivial. It can hit 8 provinces fast-ish, but the main thing for the engine is just, like, you got to take all 8 provinces to win his money, because the engine is gonna eventually be scoring like 15 points a turn, reliably, even versus legionary attack. And then on the final turn, the engine scores like who knows how many points, buying like 5 estates. Yeah. I think I'm sold on building here. I think the engine looks like the victor. This is a kingdom that I think they would have been better served to think longer, because like you look at this kingdom and I think it screams money for the first minute or so that you look at it. I definitely had that impression. You got battlefield, you got spices, you got no draw, there's amulet, market square, legionary, like all of that is just like very money-ish. But then I don't know, just like specialist, groundskeeper, vassal looks like enough. I haven't actually looked too much at the particular of the decisions. They're really blitzing through this. They're flying through this kingdom, which, again, like if you just read it as a money kingdom, I guess kind of makes sense. You just click in game. When we score, it ruins itself. I think until the final turn, I think you've got to just buy 1 victory card per turn. And 1 victory card you can live with, because your stop cards are just going to be an amulet and a victory card. And with 2 stop cards in your deck, you will draw, even with a 3-card hand. You're like, you can't possibly fail to draw. Well, I guess you can possibly fail to draw if you like line up a hand of like 3 vassals, then it's your estate or something, or like a hand of 3 specials. You could dub, but it's unlikely. And so you just buy 1 victory card per turn and trash that. And then you add market squares and specialists and groundskeepers and vassals. Then on the last turn, you buy a bunch of estates and then you win. Yeah, I think mega turn here is buying like 5 or 6 estates. But like those 5 or 6 estates are going to be worth like 50 points. What is going on here? I'm a little confused, to be honest. So they're not just playing straight up money, but they're also not building a reliable engine. They're doing something that's like halfway in between. We take all the groundskeepers, but we don't play them every turn. I don't. Both these decks are odd. Maybe what happened is like they both looked at the kingdom and thought what I did. It's like, oh, money, and then like a few turns in, they say, oh my goodness, groundskeeper, and then they try to pivot, and now you're left in this awkward no man's land. Okay, yeah, this is a good play by DSH. Like their deck is falling apart, but you're up 40 something points with 3 cards left in the piles. And so I think it is quite reasonable to say I'm going to empty estates and market squares before you can score 40 points. That was bold. I mean, I guess you kind of have to hope for a bold play as Agoo. Hopefully they completely dud, but lowering a state, of course, makes this an easy win. All right. Well, DSH takes that 4-1, and Agoo, despite being 14th seed, has dropped quite early. So, based on seeding, I believe they were expected to lose in the round of 16. They instead dropped in the round of 128, which is 3 rounds early, which is a lot. But again, they had like a really hard opponent here in DSH for what you'd expect for this round. Anyways, that's the match.